Well, hi there and welcome along to What's the Word in association with Ladbrokes. Slightly smaller panel this week, but to compensate, we have David Jennings back. So you're probably going to talk enough for 4 people, are you?
Looked like 4 people maybe, after eating pasta and pizza in Italy for 3 weeks. Jesus, I'd say I don't even fit on the camera.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, Mark, how are you? You all right?
All good, thank God, yeah.
We had a pretty famous visitor in Ireland during the week, the belled Frankie Dettori. The 3 of us, by the way, it's worth saying, were actually in Fairy House that night rather than down in Killarney with all the fans. But it was quite an occasion nonetheless, wasn't it?
It was fantastic, yeah. And it was one of these things, and I think the best ideas are the most obvious ones. And you say to yourself, I rang Philip O'Brien to do the story, and I was like, how did it come about? He said, we were really disappointed that we got a all-flat fixture in the middle of their 5-day festival. Yeah. He said he was trying to think of something that might give it a new lease of life, and he said, well, why not get Frankie? And then you're going, that makes perfect sense. Like, how did other tracks not think of it? But it wouldn't have worked in it wouldn't have worked in the likes of Fairy House or Leopardstown or that, because they're bigger tracks. But I think the fact that it was Killarney,
it's just such a novelty factor to it as well.
It was fantastic, yeah.
And they milked it for every single yard, which
his
I
arrival
appreciate
was something else, wasn't it? Going down the horse and trap was fantastic to see.
I kind of tweeted during the week as well. Christy Moore hasn't started writing a song about that. So, Mark, that's your next project.
I wasn't on location, so yeah.
A favourite Frankie memory aside from his little night in Killarney?
Well, for me, it has to be Fantastic Light and Galileo. That finished in Irish Champion Stakes. That was like, I was probably in the early stages of my racing life, and just that day I was there, and that finish, like, it went one way, then it went the other, and it was just Frankie in a finish where, like, he's so kind of in a finish, like, he doesn't use the whip that often, and it's all hands.
Yeah, it's all rhythm with the horse.
It was all rhythm, and that was vintage Frankie for me.
I talk about a man in the finish, Colin Keane, though, riding out of his skin down there. I thought there were a couple of them rides there in particular between Baby Zeus and then Via Dare. I thought, my God, just a man in top form. But
how Colin Keane hasn't been snapped up by a top stable in England. Like, he just strikes me as the type. He's young, he's a great attitude, he's so cool and calm. Like, he just strikes me as the type that, like, when Frankie does eventually retire when he's 76, Colin Keane will be the man to come in and maybe ride for God.
But don't you just love how in a finish, let's say he's trying to educate one, he's willing to put his stick down and get it there. I thought finding Nero at Goran this year was absolutely out of the top drawer with and talking about Frankie rides out of the top drawer, Golden Horn, obviously an obvious one.
Yeah.
But stall 14, and you look at how the contrasts in stalls went. Found was in 15, Ryan tucked in, met traffic. Frankie sat outside and he had balls like Bengali tigers. He was absolutely the man. Sat out there, looked in, said, wait to find me spot. He assessed the race, and to do that on the biggest of stages, just a ride from the gods, you know?
Yeah.
I've never actually seen Frankie in the showers, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen Bengali Tiger. But hey, let's move on to the classic action this weekend. The Oaks of the Curragh on Saturday. It's a race Aidan O'Brien and English trained horses have basically dominated for the last 20 odd years. What do you make of it this year?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Vintage Tipple, Paddy Mullins all those years ago was the last Irish trained horse, Aidan O'Brien, to win the race. Look, I went through this race on Wednesday, and we've got the same feel that we were always going to have. And the one horse I think that has been overpriced since the betting opened on the race is Fleeting. I think she's a little bit tricky in that she needs things to fall perfectly into place. And when she won at Doncaster last year, she was held up out the back. But if you go through her Oaks performance, like, she was given so much to do. And I spoke to Wayne Lorden during the week, and he said that's the way they wanted to ride her, and they were confident that she would produce her best performance ridden like that. And even at Ascot last time in the Ribblesdale, she was given a lot to do. I do think that's the way she needs to be ridden. But in a race like this, where you can see that there will be pace, because I'd imagine that Peachtree might be sacrificed. Tertius likes to get on with it. See for a Song as a stayer likes to get on with it as well. I think that there will be pace in the race. I was disappointed with Pink Dogwood in the Pretty Polly. For me, Fleeting should be half the price she is. I think she works exceptionally well at home. And I think it's interesting that Donnacha's not riding Iridessa. If Fleeting was a massive outsider, I think Donnacha will be on Iridessa. So to me, there's more to it than meets the eye that Donnacha's on Fleeting, and at around about 7-1, I think Fleeting is a cracking each way price.
Be harsh enough to Jock Wayne Lorden off though after the last day, would it?
But Donnacha's stable jockey to Joseph as well. Like, Donnacha rides all the first strings for Joseph, so I would say.
Yeah, I was surprised by it. I thought he would ride it. But then Philly's Mile Wayne was aboard as well.
Yeah.
I can see the case. I did think that Star Catcher's performance, I think Fleeting will reverse it with Star Catcher. I thought, you look at Turgenev in the Britannia, how that performed so above expectations. When Frankie was on form on that day, I think a lot of those horses would have ran above themselves and maybe achieved things they wouldn't have achieved on a normal day. I think at the prices, I'd agree with you on Pink Dog. I was disappointed the last day. Loads of ability. I like her going back up to 1.5 miles, but she just struck me as a filly that might want a bit of ease in the ground the last day. I thought the wheels were spinning just a little bit. We're going to have some rain, but I don't think it'll be enough.
I don't think it'll be enough.
She was tuned to the minute for the Oaks at that
Yeah.
time. She was on her game.
And
she
she
was
should
the
have won.
best filly that day. She should have won, and she didn't win. And I just wonder, did she leave maybe an Irish Oaks behind that day?
Just you think that race is just that was her?
I think she
that was her
peaked that
Gold
day.
Cup, like,
I think she was 2 lengths the best filly in the race, and she didn't win. To me, she peaked that day. Apparently, she was doing awesome things at home leading into the race. So I just wonder, maybe this might be Fleeting's time. Maybe.
You were Fleeting who you, Mark?
I think Tresias is overpriced. On the basis, if you like Pink Dogwood, now I know we're a little bit lukewarm on her here, but I think Tresias beats her last year. On comeback this year, when entitled to need the run, didn't get a clear run. I was impressed with what she did last time. I thought the 1.25 miles was really the making of her. I just thought she was a bit of value. The 16s and 18s about her out there, that should be taken up. And the other one, Manuela de Vega, ran into trouble at Chester. Thought maybe if it got a clear run, might have won. And then again at Epsom, didn't get an entirely clear run. Now, she wasn't unlucky. She wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
But I just think she's knocking on the door. You talk about British train runners having a good record. Just 2 of them there at double figure prices could give you a good run for your money.
Good stuff. Let's move on to the Minstrel Stakes. I mean, Gordon Lord Byron with his 100th career start here. I mean, what a
legend, isn't he?
What a wonderful horse, and connections as well are amazing too. But who did he?
I thought he might have a
Can't
squeak,
win this, can he?
I thought he might have a squeak. Now listen, on ratings, you'd be looking for the windows here, roaring out. Someone would be calling for you. Like I just still think though, this horse has got the track he wants, he's got the trip he wants, and he's got the ground in his favour. And you can be sure that he'll be tuned to the minute. I thought he had a chance. Romanise the obvious one though. I don't think any of these horses in this race could run the sort of race that he ran, the Queen Anne, albeit it wasn't a vintage one. He didn't get the rub of the green that day either.
This only Group 2.
But he doesn't win that often, Dave. Romanise is a bit of a concern.
No,
surely.
Romanise to me, he's one of my many cliff horses, and I thought he's just a type. I think he'll run just as well in this race as he ran the Queen Anne. You know, that type of a horse that'll just, if he ran in a handicap as well, he'd probably finish third or fourth. Yeah. And look, if things fall into place, he'll probably win. But for me, he's just he's turned into a bit of a serial loser. And the one that I think is the opposite in that finds a way to win races is Safe Voyage, who has won his last 3, loves Haydock, probably wants a little bit of cut in the ground, but we're forecast to get a lot of rain between now and 25 to 5 tomorrow. So for me, Safe Voyage is the improver who knows how to win. So he's just the solid option compared to Romanise, I think.
Yeah, I was going to make the same case, but for Hey Gaman, what about you, Mark?
Oh, I think Romanise will win, but Gordon won't be out of the frame.
Stop.
If you don't think there'll be enough rain for Pink Dogwood, how will there be enough for Safe Voyage? Jeez, he nearly wants a boat out in the Curragh, that man.
Yeah, maybe. He's won a good to soft this season already, though. I would love to see Gordon or Byron winning as well. And to be honest, I'm only messing with you. I could see him running well. But I just think at this stage of his career, at Leopardstown, I thought he travelled as well as he's ever done, and I just don't think he finds as much off the bridle these days.
Yeah, so Leopardstown in his track.
Maybe.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Right, let's move on to the rest of Saturday's action. Did Tui fancy one in the Hackwood at Newbury?
Yeah. Mark, do you want to make your case first, or will I?
I'll let you. You're the leader of the Cliff Horse Brigade of this horse. 'Cause, we've both been, this time last year, we were in the Curragh watching this horse in the replay with hands over our eyes. It wasn't a nice watch.
The Hackwood Stakes. Look, the Tin Man is very, very obvious, and if they do get a bit of rain, will be hard to beat. But for me, projection looks overpriced. You look at form figures of 0-0 and you go, what the hell is Jennings talking about? And you'd probably be right. But he was beaten ahead in the race last year by Yafta. Dream of Dreams was third. We all know what Dream of Dreams has done since. I just thought when I looked at the Diamond Jubilee again, he just constantly was frustrated by gaps. Were there and then they closed. Maybe he didn't have enough pace to go through them. But this is a much more straightforward task. And to me, he still strikes me as a sprinter we haven't seen the best of yet. So
tongue tie for the first time.
For the first time, and he strikes you as the type that
maybe he could just
it could rejuvenate him. So projection for me, I think projection should be about 11-2. He shouldn't be 8s and 10s.
Yeah, you're with him.
I'll stick with him. Yeah.
And you like in the super sprint also at Newbury? You like a big old price here? Go on.
40-1.
40-1. Go on.
40-1. A horse called Clay Regazzoni for Keith Dalgleish, who's in terrific form at the minute. He'd a winner during the week. I just look at that Chesham at Royal Ascot, and Lupi Fernandez was beaten by Pinatubo, who I think is potentially...
That is some butchering of both of those names, but go on.
What would you go? Lupi Fernandez?
Lopi Fernandez and Pina Turbo.
And
it's Pina Turbo, isn't it?
Pinatubo, isn't it?
Pinatubo.
I would go
What would
Tubo. But geez, I could be wrong now. I would have
Right,
thought Tubo.
go on.
Yeah, you're
go on.
2-1 down there.
Go on,
now.
2-1 down.
Yeah,
Go on.
yeah, well, whatever way you pronounce them, they both got serious engines. And when I looked at that Chesham, I said to myself, this is the best 2-year-old race at Royal Ascot. And to put it in perspective, the horse that finished last, finished 14th, Dramatic Sands, won next time. And he was absolutely hammered. I thought Clay Regazzoni just didn't get the 7 furlong trip. Look, he was 66-1 that day. I just like the way he made a mid-race move to suggest that he has got a bit of pace. He's still a maiden. He's only rated 82. But I loved his debut performance, and I think a race like this is made for him. He's 40-1, so the chances are he won't win. But I just have the sneaky suspicion he might, and at that price, I think you can't do too much wrong.
Yeah, I think a couple of people might have had a nibble at that price already. There's a lot shorter available as well.
Really?
A bit like, yeah.
Maybe it's somebody on
That's
the
what
panel.
you were doing just before we came on. That's why you were delayed on your laptop. Yeah.
5 minutes late getting on here. What about you, Mark?
Yeah,
Like
not as a convincing a case as Dave Commit, but I like Taxiwala, top weight in it there, rated 89. Archie Watson, he's an incredible year with his juveniles. Look, I thought straight away from when I came out of the gates in the Windsor Castle, it was all completely shifted right. From that point onwards, it's a big intimidating task for a 2-year-old then. The form got a good boost in the race because Las Vegas, the Keith Dalglish horse, was only beaten 3/4 of a length in the Windsor Castle. So I think if he had ran up to the form of his previous start, he would have been thereabouts. He didn't beat much when he won, I think it was at Brighton. But just willing to give him another chance. First starts is being gelded. You need a double figure draw generally here. He's in 10, maybe a little bit higher. I think your lad's in 8, is he, or something like that. But yeah, I'd willing to take a chance on him at 12 or 14 to 1 each way. Man at the moment, Oisin Murphy, who was seen to best effect last week, Voracious, that was some right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd kind of make a similar case for M10 as well. Nice draw for him.
Do
for
the
Jamie Osborne.
TriCast on the
Yeah, we do the TriCast and everyone can
You
retire.
won't see us next week.
There is no hot score next week.
Yeah, absolutely. How to lose €60. Right. Let's move on to the rest of Saturday action. Go for it.
I like one in the 225 at Newbury, the March Cup, a valuable handicap. Proskima is a horse who I think we haven't seen the best of yet. He was trying 2 miles for the first time in the Northumberland Plate. Jane Elliott rode him, and it was just a case of we're not sure if he'd stay, so we're going to ride him out the back and give him every chance to stay. And he absolutely flew home off mark of 103. He's only a pound higher now. Like, he's won at Doncaster and Haydock, so I think the big long home straight at Newbury is going to suit. Richard Kingscote, stable jockey to Tom Daskins, takes over in the saddle. And in a race where there's ifs, buts and maybes about them all, I just thought this was an improver who could potentially win a big handicap like this. So Proskima in the 225, and just one other one in the opening race. It's going to be very short.
The opening race
at Newbury. I thought Fox Chairman should be odds on. He's odds against. He was very unlucky last twice. He's rated 107.
Serious
he gets
horse.
the 3-year-old allowance. I thought he should be 4-6, not 5-4.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough assessment. What about you, Mark?
Just the one. I like Smash Williams in the Scurry.
Stop.
Oh, good Lord.
Smash
Oh,
Williams.
goodness.
Record.
Oh. Do you know what? I'm actually going to do something really bad to Mark, because you know what?
Go
You're
on.
guaranteed he'll forgive you. Like,
Yeah, he will.
you can do anything. He'll forgive you.
Look,
Smash Williams.
This horse's record in handicaps is actually fairly solid.
Okay.
Drawn 14, Gavin Ryan takes off 7. I think
Good pilot.
Good pilot. Ticks enough boxes. Should be thereabouts. He's a group horse in a
we should have a
handicap.
forfeit
technically.
on this, should we?
Yeah, well, can I take one in that race
Go
as
on,
well,
sure,
actually?
yeah.
The one I'll take is
Artumi, yeah, no.
Chessman. I'm going to take
Love
Chessman, who
Chessman.
doesn't like
Yeah.
winning, but travelled really well last time against
And you're against me
Beaton
for
Brothers.
Smash Williams.
Yeah, but I was
Jesus,
absolutely mad on Smash Williams at the last meeting, and he just ran no sort of... I actually napped him, and he ran no sort of race. I just think he's one of them horses that just doesn't like me.
He's actually, if you put up Smash Williams as like your lay of the weekend, he's going to go and bolt up.
There you go,
That's
mate.
it.
That's the best chance you have.
Let's
See you
move on
next
to
week,
let's move on to the Sunday action then. We'll start with the Sapphire Stakes, this sprint. What do you make of this?
Oh, well, I'm hoping this is going to be extremely straightforward, because I think that Equilateral will win. I thought
are
Equilateral...
a fan.
Come on, the definition of straightforward is not equilateral, no, I'll tell you. But
Yeah, I know, but he should be. He's the best horse in the race. I just hated the way he was ridden in the King's Stand. You know, this is a horse that needs to bounce out, make all, and just attack. And he was held up in the King's Stand. Obviously, it was an exceptional race. It was Blue Point against Batash.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a better sprint than that in Ireland or England. To me, Equilateral is not that level, but he's just below it. And if he does break well, Colin Keane, the man of the moment, takes the ride. If he does break well and tries to make all, I just can't see how he won't win.
Just another little Colin Keane aside. Khaled Abdullah retained rider in the next couple of years?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
You would
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, not that that's always the best career move going, because it tends not to last that long, but
Yeah, oh, it's exceptional, yeah. Jeez, I'm a founding member of that fan club. I
yeah,
think
no
he's
doubt. So let's move on to the Sapphire Stakes before we get all Colin Keane daydreaming here. Mark?
I know I'm slagging you, but that Equilateral does have a proper chance there. Just I think El Astronaut is more trustworthy, and the Promise last year was very good. I think he's drawn 8 to 10 here as well. Just think he takes an awful lot of boxes. He's coming here on the back of. He's a winner, and Equilateral isn't. I think Equilateral is more talented, but it's nearly a case that we're making again with your safe voyage in the Minstrel. You know, it's reversed roles, I think. But for me, El Astronaut.
I think El Astronaut is going to set up for Sophia. Just FYI. Ooh. Drawn right beside her. She hasn't had. Even though she's been winning this year, she hasn't had a race run to suit as yet. And strong pace, like Soul Power from the same stable previously, could never find a race run strongly enough for her earlier on in their career.
You
and
do
El
have
Astronaut,
a soft spot for Sophia, though.
That's because she's a star. And
that's a fair point.
She is a star.
So the horse back to 5 is interesting as well.
Yeah,
because the vibes pre-Ascot were fairly strong, weren't they?
Yeah, very strong, yeah.
El Astronaut is going to set it up for either Sophia or Equilateral, would be my take on the race.
Well, I'm hoping Equilateral will just make all.
So again, we're going to TriCast and Sapphire, right? Let's move on to the Kilboy Estate Stakes then on the same Curragh card. What do you make of this one, Mark?
Yeah, I'd probably just keep it simple, move swiftly. Thought the way it went through the race was nice. I think we'll have enough rain to fall before then. William Haggis, very successful raids when he comes over here.
He actually loves coming over to the Curragh.
Loves coming over, yeah.
Fillies in the Curragh is very successful.
I don't know the figures, but I'd imagine his record in recent seasons is fair. If you'd be in profit, I'd imagine convincingly. Move swiftly for me. Fairly straight.
Well, especially after the thing Mayada won the last day as well. At a bit of a price. Yeah. What about you, John?
Terrible race.
Yeah.
Terrible race. Like Move Swiftly will probably win, but the fact that Ryan is on Goddess rather than Coral Beach suggests to me that like Goddess wasn't even remotely wound up for Navan. Like Coral Beach rate 100 and Goddess rate at 91, and Ryan Moore is riding Goddess and Shamie Heffern's riding Coral Beach. So for me, I would be willing to take a chance on Goddess, because if she showed even remotely as much ability as she threatened to show with 2, she could just be a little bit of value here.
Yeah, you'd have to think that fair play to some trainers who have copped that this is probably a handy little bit of Group 2 black type to potentially pick up for your fillies, but you'd think you should, a few more would have been a little braver. Yeah. Anyway, that's you're with?
I'm going to chance Goddess.
And Mark, you're
Move Swiftly.
Move Swiftly, keep it simple. Right, elsewhere on the Curragh card on Sunday, or elsewhere on Sunday. Cool Vixen, by the way, stood out for me, top weight in the first nursery of the year.
On.
Go for it.
Yeah, I thought Captain Corcoran looked to me like the last run was just a case of getting ready for a nursery. Andy Slattery takes off £5 for Johnny Murta.
Very great rider.
And if you go through it, like Cool Vixen's rate at 91, Captain Corcoran, I'd say given the prices it started, its first couple of starts, I'd imagine they thought it was better than a 70 rated horse. So I'll take a chance on Captain Corcoran.
Yeah, runs off effectively 65 with Andy Slattery on
he's a
board.
really good rider. Yeah.
Go on.
Trossachs in the 2 mile handicap. Just keeps
so
typical
progressive.
JSB improver. Think he's a stakes horse, and I think 2 miles will bring out even more improvement in him.
Yeah,
I know it's fairly obvious, but I think he'll...
Anything else for you around the cards on Sunday?
That's pretty much it now for me at the Curragh.
Yeah, no, that's it.
That's it. Oh my goodness. You easy know you were on holidays for a couple of weeks.
I know, yeah.
Right, let's get to our best bets of the weekend then. Of course, Marco, we'll start with you. 3 for the weekend.
Ooh, we'll be brave. We'll say Taxiwala in the Super Sprint. I'll go Move Swiftly in the Kilboy Estate, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And El Astronaut.
I'll go for Proskema in the 225 at Newbury. I'll go for Projection in the Hackwood Stakes at Newbury as well, and Equilateral surely will win the Sapphire Stakes at 3:10 at the Curragh on Sunday.
Good stuff. I'm going for Hagemon on Saturday, Sophia in the big sprint,
surprise.
And Cool Vixen as well in the first nursery of the year at the Curragh. Right, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.